Hello, everybody. Great Monday evening. Great October 2nd. I am Dr. Anissa Short. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with ChosenPen. As I've said in the past, we are super excited and so delighted that you've chosen to be with us. And let me just add this caveat. I don't know if I've ever said this before, but if you ever miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the ChosenPen YouTube page because all of our broadcasts are automatically uploaded there. So join us live at 6 p.m. Eastern every Monday, or either follow us on ChosenPen via Facebook, or as I said before, subscribe to our YouTube page, and so you don't miss a thing. We are excited about the month of October. October is our childhood literacy theme. We are going to talk about the importance of childhood literacy. We have a lot of phenomenal authors and people who are advocates for children that are scheduled the entire month. And we're kicking this thing off with 3 phenomenal guests, and we're going to introduce them to you very shortly. But before we do, you have got to talk to, or meet, I should say, or hear from the visionary, Dr. Norma McLaughlin herself, better known as First Lady, as Lady Norma, as the CEO of ChosenPen. This platform is her vision. The themes are basically her vision, and we just make it happen. Dr. Norma, say hello to your guests and share what's on your heart.
Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited to be with you today. I have been away, and it has been a phenomenal time that we've had over the last 2 weeks, spending it in South Africa. And we'll talk some more about that with our amazing curator as we went on our trip, and some more about what we plan to do about that in the future. But ChosenPen is on the move. We've come up where I'll announce today, right now, that we have another platform, and that platform is Forgiveness Across Borders. So we'll be talking some more about that as we enter into it, as we go back to South Africa, not only South Africa, but other amazing places. So stay tuned for that.
All right, Dr. Norma, you ready to talk to these phenomenal guests? We have, 3 smiling faces joining us to kick off this series of childhood literacy and the importance of that. And as Dr. Norma said, we are going to talk a lot about the trip to Africa. ChosenPen went to South Africa. We had a phenomenal time. Lives were impacted. And of course, as she said before, we'll talk more about the trip that is soon to come. But Dr. Norma, let's go ahead and meet our guests. Would you like the honor of introducing them?
Of course. I'll start with the ladies and let the gentleman be the most impactful person that we have with us tonight, especially talking about childhood literacy. But we have a person who has, talked about children, who works with preschool children, who is always, no matter where we are, talking about the children, talking with the children, or playing with the children. And that person is, of course, Miss Trazzia Wallace. She is the person that helps us most in ChosenPen. She tries to make sure that I keep them fun straight, which is not always the case that I can do. But she is that person as our CFO for ChosenPen. But she loves children, and she's always on task for them. And our other person that we have that's smiling, always talking about, don't forget about the children, is Dr. Carol Hairston. And she is an advocate for children. She always makes sure that we here at New Life, we here at ChosenPen, that always keep the children in mind. I love her dearly because she's always pushing, Norma, don't forget, you need to do this, you need to stand up, you need to say more, you need to be more impactful. So she is one of my big advocates, and I really love her for that. But she has a lot to say about children, and she will be part of our ambassador program for children when we go back to South Africa. But of course, now let me talk about my new friend, Mr. Nikko Toogood. He is the curator of Black Authors Matter TEDx. I met him a month or so ago, and only it had to be a God thing. I don't know what else it could have been that I met him, and through him was able to be on the TEDx stage, which is, of course, for authors, the epitome of what we want to be. That's the last step as an author that you ever have to do. So I'm quite pleased and quite grateful to him for what he has done for me and for the ladies that accompany me. Also, all the other authors who would not ever have an opportunity to share a TEDx stage without him having done so. We know that people of color very seldom get that opportunity, and he is one who has made that happen. So, Mr. Nikko, he's also been very instrumental in our new projects and our moving forward with a lot of things, and I'm sure he'll share a lot of that with you.
All right, well, let's get started with the questions. So, as I already stated, October is about childhood literacy. And Dr. Norma has already introduced our guest, and you can already see how literacy ties to who they are, what they do, and what they represent. When we went to Africa, why don't we just jump right there first? Okay. One of the projects that we had the privilege of participating in is visiting schools in Gabon. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Botswana. Now, that was all made possible because of Black Authors Matter, the tour that Nikko Toogood has taken just ran with. I don't know. So Nikko, let's talk to you first. Let's talk to you about literacy, your passion for what you're doing, the Black Authors Matters tour, how that all came about, and what your vision is for that.
Thank you again for having me. Thank you, ChosenPen, for choosing me. And thank you, Dr. Norma, for the work that you are continuing to do. The Black Authors Matter Tour is about to turn 5 in 2023. So exciting. But it was really a one-time thing. It was never supposed to be 4 years later, the biggest, blackest thing. It was never supposed to be that. It was supposed to be a 1 year. We're going to have a book tour to help these Black authors get some traction. I'm going to be a missionary. I'm going to give back, and glory be to God. Well, God saw fit to have it another way. And so here we are, 4 years later, the largest Black international book tour in the world, literally helping authors connect back to the motherland, helping authors push forward into continents and places they may have never even had the vision for, and then giving the proper stage that they deserve to share their stories and iconography. So it's been absolutely amazing, Dr. Short.
Oh, wow. You know, when you think about most authors, at least, well, it depends on the circle that you're around. They get excited about their book. They most of the times they'll self-publish because they don't want to pay anybody. And then they'll have an event in the fellowship hall at the church, and they speak to everybody to buy their book, and they're just going to become, young, rich, and famous because they wrote a book. When you introduce the concept of even traveling across state lines, sometimes people become very intimidated. So for you to have the vision to say, listen, sis, listen, my friends, we're going across the waters. We're going to the motherland. And we're not just going to land, but we're going to make an impact. Because listen, you all, when we went, Nikko had a schedule. That schedule it was like by the time we got to our R&R, it was like all we could do was pass out. And then we still were busy, right? What made you think to take it international? Did you not want to just stay within the US, or was that too blasé?
Honestly, it's very funny. I was talking to my operations manager about this. I actually have wrote Africa, Lagos, not South Africa, on the tour list last year. It just never came to be. But they say write the vision and make it plain. And sometimes we don't realize that we're writing down the vision. We're just writing down our thoughts. We don't understand the power of the pen and how putting it on paper really is a manifestation moment. And so it didn't even really hit me till we got back from Africa that, I wrote this last year and I did it. And it was really about Black people understanding culture and where we come from. And sometimes we don't often share that story, or we don't tend to even want to know about our African ancestors and where we come from in that journey and that place. So I thought it was needed conversation. I didn't think I would have 40 authors. When I first pitched this idea and talked to some friends about it, I said, let's take 5 or 10, keep it small. And, God magnified that and expanded that. The base of going international was truly to give authors a voice overseas and launch that international portion of their career. I can't tell authors how to monetize those the tools we give them, but we give them tools that are definitely worth mentioning in your pitches, in your branding. If you ever say, I'm an international speaker, and for the majority of you all, if you did everything that I told you to do, you were a 2 or 3 time speaker internationally. And so that is a blessing. And it's just really about giving authors the need to brand and the tools to be able to push forward in a productive manner.
I love it. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. You know, you said you only wanted 5 to 10 authors. It grew to 40, and then those 40 authors invited friends. And because of that, some of us who probably would not have been participating or attending had an opportunity to attend. I want to shift gears here and talk to one or two others who joined us when we went to South Africa. And Trazzia, let's talk with you because you have been very engaged in childhood education for a while as the director of a preschool. And because this particular opportunity to go to Africa, we actually work with students. We went to have conversations with children. How did that impact you as an educator yourself?
Wow, it was so amazing. Before I became the director of the pre-K program, I taught my first year. I taught high school and middle school with First Lady as a TA, and then I went on to. I fell in love with teaching, so I went on to teach more, and I went on to become a teacher in the middle school program. So seeing the students in Botswana and Gabon, it was just absolutely it was just so overwhelming to see kids who really had the desire to not only read but to write. They wanted to tell their stories,
Right.
and that just with that alone just inspired me to want to do more to help them get their stories out there.
That's awesome. I'm awesome, awesome. So, Carol, Dr. Hairston, let's redirect the conversation with you. You know, the writing aspect. These students were in attention. They were waiting on us to arrive. They were very engaging, so very articulate. You know, and it's obvious that the children want to begin writing their own books. Let's talk about that a little bit more. How did this trip, specifically with the children, what impression did it make on you?
Well, I was just amazed how they were engaged. They were ready. They were listening to the authors. They were asking questions. We had uh, different authors that did the STEM program, computer science, and different things, and they asked those questions. And it just made me feel like, hey, we need to do more. And so right now I'm working on a project that we're going to do books for Botswana children, where we're going to challenge the churches here in Fayetteville and to give books so we can take them back to Botswana, to the high school that we were at, and present them to them, and a daycare we went to visit, the KGK, and just we want to be able to get books out there so they can have it, because it's not like here in the States there's books everywhere, all that. They don't have all that. So we want to make sure that we can leave a legacy for those kids and their future kids. And
That's beautiful. That's awesome. Awesome. And speaking of legacy, Dr. Norma McLaughlin was able to take the books written by her grandchildren to Africa. Can you imagine? Now, Dr. Norma, when you started ChosenPen reluctantly in 2013, did you ever imagine that this would have happened?
No. As a matter of fact, I had that conversation today with someone about how the Holy Spirit was speaking to me to write, to do things to help people get their stories out. And of course I said, no, I'm not doing that. I've retired. I have no intentions of ever doing that again. But in today, I'm going to Africa, going to the schools, going to the children, to see the children, taking my grandchildren's books was such a fulfilling that I felt like, okay, I finally found where I'm supposed to be. I have found a newfound purpose in what the writing is all about. I have, and the authors, believe it or not, my very first authors back in 2013 are going back with me to Africa.
Awesome.
So It has come full circle. I don't know what to say other than in awe of what God is doing. And I always tell people that God is sovereign. And of course, when we can't see as far as he can see into the future. And he saw this in 2013 for me, right. Now in 2023. All I can say is thank God. I'm just, we won't get all emotional like we've been doing all this time.
I know, right. I didn't bring any tissues with me. So here's the thing. And Nikko spoke to this just a moment ago about how your decision to just make one step, and you're thinking you're doing things from one perspective, but you don't realize that in the process of time, it can become so much bigger than you ever would have imagined. So I thought about, even after we came back from the trip, that I became acquainted with you, Dr. Norma, somewhere around 2017, because I was writing my first book and you were assisting me with it. I never would have imagined that my connection with you would have led me to Africa, a place that I've always wanted to go, but just never made the decision to do that. And then, of course, you're being obedient to the vision and just taking the action resulted in you connecting with a Nikko Toogood, who also was in a totally different state, who could then take what you've already started and it grows exponentially. So now, because of this partnership, not only are you assisting people with writing their books and helping them get their stories told, but you're taking them to the motherland, or as they say, welcome home when we arrive, right? Welcome home. So Nikko, let's talk a little bit about that. We're just a few of the people that were involved. What kind of feedback did you get from the others who are very passionate about, especially the children's authors? Because there were about maybe 6 or 7 children's authors, and so they were able to leave their books with the children in Botswana as well. What kind of feedback have you gotten from them?
I think I've got nothing but positivity. It's still very unprocessed for me. I've been on the go. But just being able to reach back, and the children, especially in Botswana, were so attentive. And they asked the questions. They didn't just ask who, what, when, where, how. They wanted to really get into the meat and tails of this thing. And it's so amazing because in the country, or the continent of Africa, a lot of countries do not consider being an author a profession. And so to be able to show people who have taken that leap into writing books and are making money and are doing the work and creating the relationship ties to a place where they don't even see that as real income is really giving hope to the next generation of authors and writers to come from Africa. Again, such great feedback. So many awesome moments have been created, even with you all and our pen pal programs with the kids, just being able to really build and connect. And it's such a beautiful amalgamation of just ideas coming together. So I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, I can imagine. You think about it, it all starts in the womb with a child. It really starts there. And then when they're born, the nurturing that they get from home. I grew up in a household where we had books all the time. There was books, magazines. We were encouraged to read. But then they have an opportunity to enter into a pre-K program and hopefully have someone as passionate as Trazzia Wallace as the director to make sure that the children are poured into, so they have an appreciation for not only learning, but growing, and then other supporters such as Dr. Carol Hairston, who's also passionate enough to, we didn't even think about this. When she got back, I was like, you know what? I'm just loving this circle, because she says, we're going to get these churches to donate books. And I'm like, well, that's right. They need to be doing something, right? That's a way they can. This is mission work. Honestly, this is just a version of mission work now. And so, and all of this is under the umbrella of ChosenPen by way of BAM, Black Authors Matters. Unfortunately, Nikko, I don't know if it's unfortunately or fortunately, but I don't see this getting any smaller anytime soon. It's going to grow exponentially, right?
100%. It's a little bit of both. It's fortunately, and it means that I'm going to be very tired. I'm going to need a lot more Botox, honey. But at the end of the day, the work is needed. I never thought my life would be this. I never thought that I would be the vessel to be even in this atmosphere. Again, I created my book because authors wanted a place, so I made a place. And a lot of my life is that, trying to help, overly trying to help, because it gets you in trouble. And so, I am grateful to God for choosing me. And I'm grateful to myself, and for anyone who needs to hear this, sometimes you have to celebrate you picking up the phone, answering the call. God calls many to be of vision and promise, but how many of us are really answering our purpose?
That's good.
We know what we're supposed to do. We see it every single day. It tugs on your heart. It plagues your mind, but you're so afraid to answer the call. a call that will change your life for the better. But more importantly, beyond changing your own life, you will change others' lives.
That's
if
right.
you look at the
So,
call. So I'm grateful that I had enough common sense to do what God meant to make sense.
That's good. That is really good. Dr. Norma, what questions or comments would you like to share?
well, mainly, I'll talk a little bit about Nikko and I can talk a little bit about forgiveness across borders and how that came about, because I really don't know anyway. All I know is, next thing I know, he says, well, here's the name for your new platform. And he said, what do you like about this? I said, okay, what are we doing now? So Nikko, okay, you can talk a little bit about how God spoke that to your heart and how I was able to receive that. And because of that, we are now a new platform that has grown out of this mission.
Well, I thought it was great because you talked about conversations and forgiveness. And so, forgiveness is not for you, it's for you more than the other person. It's for you to make that common sense piece. And so what I thought was beautiful in that was this space or this place for us to be able to do it across borders and forgive in culture. And so a lot of times the African community and the Black community do not get together because there's this resentment. And so it's about us being able to really, really have those tough conversations with one another, but then also see where we meet in the middle, where we do well together, i.e., divorce, forgiveness of fathers, of your mother. And, the best way to unify is to find unifying factors and discuss them. And that's how this kind of came about.
Well, I am certainly, as you can tell, in awe. We've been working together on this for the last, I guess, couple of weeks or so. So it's about ready to kick off and be big. Or it is already big. It's already, Nikko, we got the approval from TEDx yesterday?
This morning.
The
whole TEDx. Yeah. At this point, there's no turning around. You have a whole web page.
Whether she wants to or not, it's a go, right?
He sent me that. I said, what does this mean? Does this mean that I'm on the TEDx stage, TEDx platform?
Again.
That's exactly what it means. So here's the thing. Think about this. And Nikko, all of us can relate to this. The Dr. Norma spoke on a panel at the TEDx forum, and she made reference to forgiveness as her platform. And we talked about mental health and how the conversations were centered around mental health and how forgiveness is an integral part of that, the stability of one's mental health. Then everybody wanted to talk to Dr. Norma about forgiveness. It was like, I know I need to forgive my or I had this situation that happened and I need to talk with you more about how I can get through this and how I can work through the journey of forgiveness. And all of these conversations were being had. Meanwhile, Nikko was in his room going, forgiveness across borders. It's like everything just kind of.
Honestly, to give you the honest story, I think that Lady Norma is absolutely fabulous. And so that's really where the fab part. And it was like, oh, these fabulous women. We're going to bring these fabulous women. I was like, well, we can't call it the fab tour because they're fabulous women. It has to have some substance to it. I was like, oh, forgiveness across borders. Fab. And that's really how it came about.
Right. Well, however it came about, right? So, and that's the beautiful thing. Lady Norma, tell us a little bit about some of the specifics that you have at present for those who are watching or who may be watching later. We know more information will be revealed and shared, but what can you share with us now?
As far as March is concerned?
Yes, ma'am.
Forgiveness across borders will go back to South Africa, March 22nd, and we'll be in South Africa from the 22nd through March 1st. And we will be doing Botswana, or we'll start off in Johannesburg, Botswana, a couple of places there. But the whole point of that is, of course, we'll be doing some talking about forgiveness from the stage at the beginning. And part of that is I already have several people who are emailing and texting. I mean, I've got groups and all that already set up about forgiveness from people in Africa. So we're working on that. Mr. Nikko is setting up me some type of portal that I have to have that deals with that. So, but they text me every day and let me know when are we going to get started. So we're doing that. But that part is really real to me because I'll get an opportunity to go back and meet with them again, eat with them, dine with them, converse with them. As I said, I'm really, really excited about that. But the second part of the tour, the next leg, as we call it, of course, is going back to Botswana to talk with the children. And I think we've elongated that to 2 days now as opposed to 1. So we have an opportunity to spend more time with the children while we're there. And we'll be able to give them more books. As a matter of fact, we'll be sending books periodically as we get them. So hopefully they will already have them once we get there. Then, of course, the big part is, well, I guess it's not big, but it's big for us when we go on our rest and restoration in Kasane. And that is where you saw all the videos that Miss Tracy was taking of us out in the wild. And that's an experience within itself. And I call that the circle of life, and learning the circle of life, because within that, I felt the presence of God in the beginning of creation and how God actually did the feeding line. So we had an opportunity to see that. But if people say, oh, I'm so sorry to see one animal attacking the other one, I'm saying, well, that's how God created it. He increased, somebody had to be at the bottom of the food chain. Unfortunately, that's how he did that. So we have to respect that and understand that it is nothing that we can do about that. And when we are eating and killing and doing things and eating ourselves, because we're at the top of the food chain. So that's the way that goes. But it did. Everything we did seemed to me, and hopefully the people who will go back with us will feel the spiritual, emotional effect that being back in the motherland has. I never thought I would experience that. And I think I told Nikko one night when we were sitting there watching the dancing or the whatever, I'm going, I really can't explain this feeling. I feel like I'm being made whole. You feel like whatever that void was there that you never realized was there is now being filled. And I guess that's what going back to the motherland actually did for us. Spiritually and emotionally, it was all there for me.
And I don't want to ruin what, for those who are coming. You all were there. I gave you a schedule, but I don't think you all really understood the depth of the schedule until you were in the moments. But you are literally taking on this emotional roller coaster that the first day that you are there, full day that you are there, you are going to the Apartheid Museum, seeing the history. But if you kind of realize the method to my madness, I start you there, but you end in celebration. You end in the progression of these people, and you really get to follow that from what they went through to where they are to the next generation, and you get this celebratory moment in all of it. And for those who decide to come, and I hope that many of you come as possible, post ending at 40 people. As all of you all that come, I want you to understand that you're going to see something that many would never get to see and understand. And you're going to feel something that is very overwhelming. And it is a beautiful thing. And honestly, a lot of people are paying money because they want to be on a TEDx stage. But I promise you, when you leave, it is the least important thing.
It sure is. Yes. Right.
The least important. Like TEDx is great, and a lot of people have gone on, and people are calling me, and they're making money, and they're getting booked, and they're getting those high booking fees. But it does not compare to what you would experience in transformation.
Right. That's so great. You're absolutely right, Nikko. You're absolutely right. All right, we got about 2 or 3 minutes left, so let's do closing remarks. So Trazzia, let's start with you first. We're getting ready to go back in March. ChosenPen is hosting it. It's the Fab Tour, as I'm calling it. And so what would you offer as one reason why an author would want to be a part of this experience?
Well, especially an author, especially a children's author, would love to attend because they can share their stories with these children and inspire them. Even the adult authors can inspire these children to speak their voice, which a lot of them wanted to do. They just need a little bit more encouragement and the how-tos and the why it's important and why not. A lot of them said that they could not, their parents would not let them write because it wasn't a future. They wanted them to be a doctor. And I
Mhm.
said, well, why can't you do both?
Mhm.
They never thought of it as to even think to do it. They thought they couldn't do it at all. So you can do both. You can do both. Why not? So
That's
I
good,
think it
Chosen.
would be important for all the authors to come and just pour into them so they can tell their stories.
I love it. I love it. What about you, Carol? If anyone were considering the trip, now you and I end up being kind of like tag alongs. We were there for more support. But it was just as good for us. I say that in humor, but that really is how it came about. What would you offer as to a why? What would you extend if you were extending the invitation to someone? Maybe they aren't an author per se, but they maybe have a desire. Why would anyone want to be a part of this experience?
Mm.
Oh, well, I went as a tag along, but I felt so emotional just to be in Africa, our homeland, where our ancestors were taken away as slaves. So we don't know, we didn't get a chance to see, what tribe we're from or whatever. But to me, um, I got really emotional when we were in Kasani and the African dancers came, because I felt like, hey, I'm home. I felt at peace. And I
Mhm.
still feel at peace now coming back. And I'm so excited to go back. And I'm going back as an author. Um, that to me is, I didn't want to write. And Anissa and First Lady got me to write. And so I was just like, you can inspire other people to write. I mean, there's stories that needs to be told. So I'm just telling people, if they have that opportunity to go and visit, even if you don't write, just go back and support. And the kids, you know how I love kids. So me, I want to do everything that I can to give to those children in Botswana,
That's
especially
beautiful.
ones that wanted to do the computer science or the STEM programs, because they don't get all those opportunities. But I'm working on something right now, trying to find out, because I know Microsoft has a program where they will pay for scholarships for children to go to school free. So I'm looking into that so I can be able to take that information back to these young ladies and young um, kids if they want to go into the STEM program, different STEM programs.
That's good. That is awesome, Dr. Hairston. I'm going to say this, and then Lady Norma, I'm going to leave it with you to close out. But one of the things that I think was most touching for me is conversations had, and the children made reference to being excited about getting books that had children in them that looked like them.
Mhm.
Okay, it's all about being able to connect and identity. Identity is everything. But it reminded me of several years ago when I used to live in the state of Mississippi. The church that I attended, we had a missions. We did a lot of mission work, and some of the parishioners and people who were in the churches in Africa said they were so excited to see missionaries that looked like them. Identity. They can relate. It's not that no one else, other people can provide them with valuable information. Other people can pour into them, and other people can bring them books and can provide them with the tools they need to create success. But it says a lot when you can identify with the person and that person looks just like you, or you have something in common. And that for me was like breathtaking. It was so surreal. A friend asked me today, what was it like? I was like, I can't even find the words to truly explain the whole experience. I just believe everyone should go. And my father told me, I didn't even know this prior to leaving. When I got back home, he says, I always wanted to go to Africa. Now I get to go to Africa, but I went through you. So you never know what impact you're making. Not only just your life is going to be benefited, but so many others. And that's what it's all about, really. Making an impact, leaving a legacy, and doing something to make someone else's life even the more enriched. Lady Norma, I bow out for you to close out with closing remarks.
Okay, I see, Mr. Nikko, you are steadily doing something over there. What is it you want to say? I know it's something.
No, I'm sorry. I got moving parts going on around me.
Okay.
I'm in transition.
Okay.
I'm still here. I'm listening. Give me 1 second.
Okay. I don't know. Did you have anything else? I guess not.
I'm still here. I just need 1 second.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're giving Nikko 1 second. I just still want to say thank you to all of those of you who accompanied me. and going. I don't know how I would have made it alone, which was the initial plan for me to do. I think it took all of you to help me get through the process while I was there. So I want to publicly thank each of you for helping me in that manner. But I also want to encourage everyone, if you have an opportunity to go, if it even is not with us, however you go, to go. I think it's an experience that all of us would need to have, just to know who we are, where we came from. And as I said earlier, to fill that void that we never knew that we had, that longing that we probably never knew that we had. But when you're there and you see the dancing and you hear the singing, you hear the drums, all of that just has an impact on your life. And you start to feel that, oh, I am home. These things have been missing all this time, and I really didn't know it. Okay, Mr. Nikko, I'm gonna let you have your last word.
One, thank you all, ladies, for coming. I truly enjoyed you. It's been an amazing experience, and so much more to come. For those who are considering coming and are battling with it, I challenge you to just do it. To get out of your head, step out of your way, and just do it. Sign up is the first step. Pay your invoices on time is the next step. Jump on the plane on time is your next step. And understand that if it came across your desk, your computer, or your phone, that it's meant to be.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And as it's meant to be, don't take it too long, because Mr. Nikko has already said we're only taking 40 people. And I think we may be getting close to that number already.
I'm at 20 on my side.
If you're 20 on your, oh gosh. Tracy, how many are we on our side?
We have 12. Oh.
Wow. We got 8 coveted slots left.
Look, as they say in the infomercials, act now.
Act now. So if you're going,
if
you have intentions of going, please let us know, make your deposit, and let's get ready and get prepared.
Forward, right. Well, that is it, you guys. Thank you so very much once again for chiming in on Conversations with ChosenPen. Mr. Nikko Toogood, thank you for being with us. Ms. Trazzia Wallace and Dr. Carol Hairston, thank you for saying yes to being our guest. Don't forget, join us again next Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We will be right here again. We have 2 more phenomenal authors as we continue our series on the importance of childhood literacy. Thank you again for hanging out with us. We look forward to seeing you on next Monday. Make it a great week.